So today for Gaule's Question Time, I've got the pleasure of being with Neil Wainwright. Hi, Neil.
Hi there, Andrew. Nice to meet you. Nice to be with you.
Good to see you again. We know each other through the Creative Destruction Lab and us mentoring and that with ventures and sort of startups. And it's been a pleasure to work with you in the small groups and in the large groups. So it'd be great if you could kick off by giving us a bit of an introduction to yourself, please. What's the day job and what's your background?
Well, the day job is I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. So I've been doing startups since I was 26, and I'm way past 26 now. I'm on my eighth startup, which is a personal CRM. So it's a way of managing your relationships and the people in your life. That's done in a way that's very private, but also very personal to you, and that you kind of own your contacts and relationships throughout your career and even your life. So I built it because I sold my last company. I lost all my contacts when I was no longer at the company. I decided I wanted to keep them, and I found that the iPhone and Androids, they minimally manage your contacts, and the same thing with LinkedIn. And I thought I'd do something that's better than all of those platforms.
Great. So you've got the experience of being a serial entrepreneur and investing and committing in that yourself. So great background. Could you
Yes.
give for our listeners a bit of a perspective of what Creative Destruction Lab that is and what it's aiming to do?
I've been involved in CDL for about 7 years now. I started by getting interviewed by the founder in Toronto, and I got involved in one stream in Toronto. And CDL has now grown to 13 sites across the world. They're all associated with very high-end business schools at leading universities. And we provide a very structured and rapid mentoring environment at no cost in money or equity to the startups. So it's literally high value, free advice from leading mentors around the globe. Former astronauts, former CFOs of Google. I mean, there's a lot of really accomplished people that are providing their time for free, because we want to help these startups really get a leg up and be very successful down the road. The tagline for CDL is build something massive. So we really want to help these companies grow and grow rapidly and be successful.
Right. And I've been involved for a couple of years now at CDL Oxford, and I'm really quite passionate as well about supporting the ventures. And I think also just within our peer group of mentors, we build friendships, relationships, and add value to each other in that environment, and also to the ventures themselves. So yeah, it's a great organization and great ventures.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the network amongst the mentors is remarkable. And we bring in other like-minded people as well into the program. So it kind of feeds a really good group of incoming mentors that join. And they typically join with one site or one stream, like Oxford. And then all of a sudden they decide, oh, I'm doing AI, I'd like to do fintech. And then they join the fintech stream. And, it's a bit of a healthy addiction. You get very involved and very excited about the contributions you can make to the next generation of startups.
Great, and I've really valued sort of working with you in the mentoring. But there was one particular thing that struck me in the last session we did in Oxford was Thomas Hellman, who's the creative lead, the site leader for CDL in Oxford. He came out in the large group and said he created a new verb, as he said, to Wainwright a website, because the insights you give to these ventures when they first come along on your insights on how they need to modify their websites, how they should make them more actionable, I think is fantastic. So that's what I really want to capture, that Wainwright magic in that now. Could you take us through, could you open your brain and take us through how you think about these ventures and their websites, please?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty tiny brain, so it's pretty easy to open up. I'm a software engineer by training, by the way, and I've been a tech CEO for over 30 years. But I still think like an engineer, and it's kind of strange that I developed an ability to look at venture websites and startup websites and give them, kind of almost instant feedback on what I see. And I think part of it is because I look at it, I've looked at a lot of them with the CDL program over the years, but also I look at it with fresh eyes. And And if I can't understand, you know, and I'm talking about the homepage of the website, what's above the fold, if you like, what you see on the screen when you open the site. If I don't see something compelling, I lose interest. I don't know what's going on with the business. I don't know if I want to buy whatever it is they're selling. And I think a lot of ventures are so close to what they're doing, they don't have the ability or haven't had the time to step back and look at it with fresh eyes from the perspective of their customer or their ideal customer, the people they want to attract to their website. And you know, there's a lot that I see. A lot of it, you know, I've seen websites that literally say they want to solve climate change, and that's their headline. That's the only thing I see, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, but nobody, A, people probably won't believe it, and B, they don't know what to buy. You know, there's nothing for sale, so you know, why should this matter, or why should I read further? And sometimes they make it just so technically jargon filled, and they put a bunch of acronyms that people, again, don't understand what it is that they're trying to do. And they haven't really identified who their ideal customer is. Like, so that when I'm seeing the site, I don't know how I'm going to be drawn into it as a customer. So I say they're trying to boil the ocean. The headline is not clear in terms of what they do, and there's no focus on the customers they're trying to win to, you know, buy their product or subscribe to their product.
Those are great points, and that they're in seeing what they've got and focusing on the customer. Another fantastic thing you often recommend is putting, where's the button for me to organize a meeting with you? Where's the button so I could buy? What's that call to action bit as well, which I think is so powerful when you Wainwright a website?
Well, you know, once you get through the headline, and I'll talk a bit more later about the headline, and then you get into the subheadline, then there has to be something for someone to do. And almost every website I see that for a startup, they have a little button that says contact us, and you click it, it goes to a form, you put in your name, your email, maybe your company name, you click submit. And that can then take days, or typically weeks, sometimes months of back and forth emails to try and coordinate a time to actually have a conversation. The other thing that happens is we all have spam filters. And you can actually get that email chain that you're trying to set up a meeting with this person who has expressed an interest, get stuck in a spam filter, and you think they don't care, but meanwhile they didn't see your email because it got stuck in a spam filter. So I strongly believe that ventures should have a button that says book a demo or schedule a meeting, depending on what type of product you have and service to sell. And when you click that button, it should go to an integrated calendar. Where, you know, people can pick, you know, a particular day. They can see the times you're available, or your team's time when they're collectively available, because you can do the union of multiple calendars with the systems that are available these days. They pick a date, they pick a time, they go next, they can put in their emails, their name, they can actually say what product they're interested in if you have multiple products. And when they click submit, it books it in their your calendar, it books it in the prospect's calendar, and it includes a Zoom link or a GoToMeeting link or a Google Meet link or whatever. And it's all done. So I had a situation, I'll tell you a story about my last business, about 7 years ago now. I had that book a demo button. Actually, I put the calendar on our homepage. So literally the homepage right below our message, you know, our headline and subheadline, I actually embedded the calendar, not even a button. And when people picked the day and picked the time and did it all, it just fully gave them all the times available. And it was a union of every salesperson and a system engineer who would do the demo. It was very complicated behind the scenes once we configured it, but it was very beautiful to the end users. And I had a situation, two stories there. I went out for lunch with my sales team on a Monday, and they're sitting at lunch and they're opening their phones. And one of them said to me, "Oh, look, I got 2 more demos for tomorrow while I'm at lunch." And that, when you talk about rapid, engagement with prospective customers, they were themselves self-selecting the next day to get a demo on the product. And we made it so you couldn't book same day because we wanted to do some research on the prospects before we actually had the demo. So you can do those kind of things as well. The other situation that happened with my last business is I had my leader of customer success come into my office one day and say, Neil, we have a problem. And I immediately, as a CEO, sit up in my chair and I'm like, what's the problem? And they said, we've had some calls on the 800 number and we've had some emails come in on our support email that people cannot book a demo for the next 3 weeks. So what that meant is that every salesperson and every system engineer was busy for the next 3 weeks on already scheduled demos, which is, as a business, like awesome, because we actually, when we did a demo, we typically won them as a customer. But the worry for me is my leader of customer success had just told me that nobody could book a demo for 3 weeks. So myself as a founder, and by that time we had a pretty big team. I had come out of the rotation of calendar availability. And you can imagine, as a founder, my first reaction was, okay, I'm wiping out, a lot of meetings in my calendar. My name is going back in the rotation and I'll do all those demos over the next 3 weeks until we can hire some more people or find some more space to make sure that we can meet the people who want to meet with us. So it's a very powerful thing to have a calendar, kind of integrated calendar, and they can integrate, by the way, with Salesforce and HubSpot and other platforms for sales. So literally when it books the meeting and it sets up the Zoom and puts it in everybody's calendar, it also put that contact as a lead into a CRM. It's magical. And I've seen a lot of CDL ventures that I've talked to over the last 4 or 5 years that have switched from the online form to an integrated calendar, and they've gotten leads out of the blue for the next day that they wouldn't otherwise have had.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think also as you're speaking there, Neil, and you relating those two stories, I think is fantastic. But I think it also gives you the perspective that the priority for these startups is to get demos, to get pilot projects, to get sales. And you probably see it with lots of the ventures that you and I deal with. You'd spend your time with the CEO saying, focus, look, you've got to focus on getting those sales. I don't want to know about the tech you're doing. I don't necessarily want to know about the investor meetings you've got. I don't necessarily want to know about how you're sorting offices out. The important bit is to show that you got traction. And I just think some of this stuff you're talking about, it puts front and center, who's my customer, what's my product, how am I going to make some sales? And do you agree with that? Is that a fair view? It helps to shift your mentality as well.
100% agree with that. I mean, I saw one of the CDL Oxford, there's a lot of great lines that come out of mentors at CDL Oxford, by the way. But one of them from a couple of years ago was the best type of fundraising is revenue.
Yeah.
So if you have customers, and if you have, whether it's pilot customers that are paying or SaaS customers that are on a subscription, that is the best way to grow your business. My last one, I sold it. It never really made much profit because as soon as I got more recurring revenue, I'd hire more salespeople, more engineers to keep building the product. But I sold it for a nice multiple of revenue because I was growing at 100% a year. I had figured out how to get lots of customers very quickly onto our platform. And a lot of that was product related, and obviously the call to action on our website and our reputation in the industry. But it's, the more customers you have, the more in control of your life and your business you are.
Yeah, no, I very, very much agree. As a venture, there's a few ventures I'm working with at the moment, but one particularly I'm sort of thinking about, it's helping that founder, helping her focus on those strategic larger partnerships. And I'm resisting saying, oh, I need to raise investment. I'm going, no, look, 2 of these strategic partnerships are going to bring in more revenue than the investment is going to do. That's much more valuable than chasing another investor who are like hen's teeth and are very rare at the moment. As you've got fantastic relationships, you've got a fantastic product. Let's go sell it and get those strategic relationships.
And if you have revenue, you don't need investors.
Yeah.
You don't need more investors. So it's really, I mean, the focus of a startup is to get to a point where you're break even and control of your destiny.
Yeah.
when I sold my last company, um, and the private equity firm that bought my company said, well, what's your cap table? Like, because we're going to buy your company. And I said to them, I own 55% and this other gentleman owns 45%. So you can start writing the checks, and it's very simple math. So when you sell a business, you want to, as founders and the people that are working 7 days a week, you want them to have a big successful exit for all of the hard work and blood, sweat, and tears they put into it. And that happens by retaining your equity. It's not by raising lots of funds.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the point about focusing on the customer, and the investors will find you if you've got the customers and you're building the reputation. You don't have to go looking for them, I think, or your exit.
Well, and they're dying to give you money at that point, and then you're like, no, I don't think I need any money, and it drives them crazy.
Yeah.
So it kind of turns the table. I wanted to talk a little bit about on the website. We talked about the call to action quite a bit. Yeah. Is it okay if I cover the other two elements? I think.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So the main thing when I go to a website, I want to see some big bold text that's a headline. And it's typically non-jargon related. And it basically defines their category. So whatever it is, it should be something that's, ideally 3 or 4 words as a category. Maybe it's a few more, but it should be something that's really straightforward and resonates with the person who goes to the website. So the headline kind of gets people curious. If you can make it so it's you get emotional reaction. I remember once, I think it was Oxford in the AI stream, I was coaching a startup, and they were about animal welfare for chickens in large chicken farms throughout the UK and Europe. And their customers, or the people that they wanted to please, were the large supermarket chains and grocery stores. And they were trying to get across their message about what was important about what they were doing for the health of the birds. And I said, well, you guys are the healthy chicken company. And literally that became their headline for a number of years, because that made speaking, I saw you smile. It made people smile, and it makes people curious about what is the healthy chicken company.
Yeah, no, that's certainly the case, and certainly when I've seen, when we've been in the mentoring sessions, when you're Wainwrighting the website, and then up in the Slack channel on the screen comes your headline that you've just sort of fed back to the team, and normally there's a bit of a rustle around the room when we say, "Oh, right, Neil's just put a comment on," and given that sort of that headline point, which really sparks the thinking for the entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and and the headline draws people in. They lean in and they want to read more. And then there's some smaller text beneath the headline that is the subheadline. And that really should speak to what the product actually does in plain English with no acronyms. And it should also speak to who their ideal customer profile is. If you're going against, if you want to bring in, hospitals of a certain size, not small hospitals, then it should say, we're ideal for smaller hospitals with X hundred beds or less, and this is what we do for them. So by having this subheadline address who your ideal customer is, you're actually encouraging those people to click to book a meeting, and you're discouraging people that don't fit from clicking the button. So, and by the way, the button click, sometimes I get asked is, well, don't I get a lot of spam in that calendar? And the answer is no. I mean, 1 or 2, maybe once in a while, but talking to, when it's 19 out of 20 are really interested people that want to buy your product, you can afford the 1 out of 20 that is a spam message, or one that doesn't go anywhere. You really want to have conversations with people that might buy your product. So headline kind of draws people in. It causes them to lean forward a little bit and maybe even smile. And then the subheadline really explains what you do and who your ideal customer is, in kind of proper language and, and sentence structure and things. And then the call to action. And that's the three big things. It's a headline, a subheadline, and a call to action. Beyond that, I encourage people to do, if they're a web product, lots of screenshots of their product in action. Ideally, a tab on their website which has a whole bunch of product videos. Customers these days will do a lot of research on you and on your website before they click, to book a meeting. So the more information you give them that's compelling, the more likely they're going to book a meeting and they're going to be really interested in buying. My last company, we had a ton of videos. We had product videos that I personally recorded, so not a professionally done video, just me recording. I used a product called ScreenFlow to tidy it up a little bit. I had a lot of customer testimonial videos, and I had a lot of channel partners who actually also had testimonials about us. So I don't know, at one point we had 20 to 30, maybe 40 videos on our website. So when people click to book that demo, we would literally win. I don't know the exact statistic, but it was well over 90%, maybe well over 95% of people that actually got on the demo would choose to use our product.
Yeah, no, that's a great sort of benefit and a great focus and that for you. And certainly, I've had a lot of insight from you sharing this with the ventures and that on the sort of sessions. And I think I remember last week when you were feeding back, it's like, well, you're spending all your time doing this other stuff, but I don't understand what's on the website. You need to do those things that you just raised, and it drives customers and it helps the ventures focus what they're trying to do.
And the other thing I'll tell them is what I see on that headline on the website. If you're doing a presentation to customers or at conferences, or if you're pitching investors, the title slide should be exactly what's on the homepage of your website. And if that title slide and that headline is proper, a founding team could spend a half an hour talking about the title slide because it literally paints the picture of what the whole venture is all about. So it's not just a website. And by the way, if you ever send an email, if someone ever sends an email outreaching on LinkedIn or another platform about their business to speak to someone, the very first thing that person is going to do is typically go look at the website. So the story has to be clear, because even if you meet them at a conference, they're going to take your business card or they're going to get your email. I don't know how many times you do it every week. I look at their email, I strip out I look at the domain at the back and I paste it into my browser.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Google, Chrome, or all the browsers should have a way to click on an email and open the website straight from the email. Now that I think of it, that's a feature I wish all the email clients had.
Yeah. Neil, it's been fascinating and great to caption the Wainwright way of doing your website and helping ventures. So really appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks very much for having me, Andrew.
Please do give us a 5-star like and subscribe to future editions.